And a good afternoon to you. This is the Central Florida Computer Society, the Windows Special Interest Group, or as we call it, the WinSig, for Sunday, May 12th, 2019. We're doing something a little bit different today. We're trying a camera on at the same time so you can see me. Hi there. And when I turn away, I'm not turning away from you. I'm looking at my Chromebook, which sits to the left of me in case I want to see what's going on the screen, because sometimes things are happening on my screen that you aren't seeing, and I just want to make sure that uh, everything that's going on, you're with me. Okay, so
I'm not seeing you now.
you're not seeing me. Okay, that's interesting, because I see me on my Chromebook. So
You just see the CFCS front page.
okay, okay. You know what? This might be blocking it. Do you see it now?
No.
Oh, isn't that interesting? All right, there may be a way to turn that on and off, and you've got it turned off. So it will be in the recording anyway. And
Do I have to start video?
what did you say?
I'm starting video.
No, don't do that because that'll turn yours on, and you did.
Okay.
We don't need yours on. Okay, good. All right.
Internet connection is unstable.
Yeah, so is it staying that if it starts saying that, I'll go ahead and shut my video off. The video is off as well. But let's go ahead and get started as we do every month. I post all of the articles on my website. And in order to get the link to this, and I do send out a newsletter just prior to the meeting, usually a couple of days in advance, make sure you're signed up on the WinSig newsletter. Do it on the website. You can do it on any of the, pretty much on any of the pages. Go ahead, fill in your, all I need is your email address, your first and your last name. That's all I ask. That's all you need to put in. I don't share it with anybody. It just goes to MailChimp, and MailChimp, and it's added to the MailChimp mail out. So let's go ahead and full screen this. And let's make it bigger so you can see it better. And what we're going to start with is, well, I took it off of full screen by moving it. I wanted to put in a degree sign in Facebook, and I had to look up, try to remember how to do that, and how to make symbols using your keyboard. There's a couple of different ways you can do it, but let's, if you're going to use the keyboard, you use some Alt keyboard sequences. And I think, let's see, this is the image, so you can get an idea of what this is, what I'm talking about. And it looks like this. So you hit the Alt key, and then a set of numbers, and they will give you what you're trying to get. For instance, Alt, and then on the numeric keypad, you hit 0153, and you'll get the trademark symbol. Now, if you have a laptop, you probably don't have a numeric keyboard, which makes it a little bit more difficult. And you may not have an Alt key if you have a keyboard from your tablet or your phone. So I'm going to try to show you how to do that as well. So let's backtrack to, we'll close this out. And so to insert an ASCII or a Unicode, and they are two different things, and I'm going to show you both, only because if that's what you need to do. Insert an ASCII or Unicode into the document. This tells you how to do it. Basically, if Alt plus X converts the wrong character code into the Unicode, select the correct character code before pressing Alt X. And you can also use the character map if you're using Windows. So let's take a look at, first of all, how we do this. So let's bring up, I'm going to bring up Notepad. And I'm going to change the font so you can see it. So we'll bring it up to about 48. And let's see if we can do that. Yeah, that looks good. So if I want like 70 degrees, I have no way, there's no key on here. It's got a little degree sign. There's a couple of ways I can do that. One is I can go here, and in order to get to Windows quickly, I click on one of the letters, click on W, and now I want the Windows accessories. And character map is, because it's alphabetical, is the first one. That's how you get to the character map. When you do that, there's all of your characters, and you can see here that there's a lot of them. But the one we want is the degree sign, and that's right here. Hopefully you can see that that's a degree sign. You may not be able to, but all I have to do is click on it. There it is, and it makes it bigger. I'm going to say select it. When I select it, I'm going to say go ahead and copy it. I think it does when I tell it to select, but I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to paste it. And there's the degree sign. So it's that easy. But let's make it easier. I'm going to go ahead and close that out. Let's go back to our articles. And there is, let's go back to, actually, let's close this article out and let's go to the other article. I believe it's this one. Come on, load up. There we go. All of these have Alt and then numbers. And to do the degree sign, and I had to go look for it, I believe it's 176 off the top of my head. And I have to try to remember that. Well, there's 175, but I don't see one. Let's see. Oh, there's. I don't think it's showing here, but there's actually more available. And so let's try it anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my notepad, and as again, I'm going to say it's 83 degrees. And I'm going to hold the Alt key down, and I'm going to go to the numeric keyboard, and I'm going to type in 176 and let go, and it's not 176. Okay, I'm going to hold the Alt key down and 176, and there it is. It's 0176. So by holding the Alt key down, I know you can't see that on my keyboard, and then going to the numeric keyboard and doing it, it works. Now, I don't believe that's going to work, and let's try it, is Alt, and then I'm going to use the numbers at the top of the page. I'm going to do 0. No, see, that doesn't work. Nothing happens. So you have to use the numeric keyboard. Now, what if you don't have one? There are probably some other ways. Can you mute the mic, Stan? I'm getting some feedback or some noise.
Yeah, we were too. I didn't realize.
Is it yours? Let me double check and make sure that it's yours. It must be because I can hear you. Okay, and you did. All right. Now, I have a touch screen, so if I go like this, I can bring up my keyboard. And there's no Alt key there. But I have some choices here. And I believe this is the widescreen one. And I can click on Alt. Then I have to go to, there's a way of doing it, and I can't remember how I did it now.
Huey?
Yes.
There's something else going on, another echo. I'm not sure it's you. A minute or so back.
Okay, it's right now I'm just saying you and me are the only microphones open. So I don't know. Maybe you're getting some strange radio signals through your speakers. Hopefully it's not on the recording as well. Anyway, I can hit the Alt key and then I believe it's 0. No, that doesn't work. There was a way I have to hit something. It's not those. Oh, I know, it's this. No, I don't remember. Oh, here and then here. Nope, that's going to open something else up. It's opening settings. Anyway, there is a way to do it, and I don't recall. I played with it during the week, and I don't remember how I did it. But read the article, and you'll figure out if you have a touch screen keyboard, there is a way to get those on as well. The easiest way in Windows is to just go ahead and open up your character map, copy and paste it, and get it in, and that will work in all Windows. Okay, word of warning. The robocall thing is getting more and more outlandish and more an issue and a problem. And I saw this article and I did want to pass it on. This is from the Federal Trade Commission. If you get a one-ring call, don't call back and say, did you just call me? Or don't do that with any of these calls from, if you're not familiar who it is, or you don't know who it is, don't call to find out. One of the big things is that there's a one-ring scam. That's when you get a phone call from a number. Let's see, let's go ahead and make this bigger so you can read it too. Okay. And it's not larging. Okay, now it should. A while back, the FTC warned us about the one-ring scam. That's when you get a phone call from a number you don't know, and the call stops just after one ring. The scammer is hoping you'll call back because it's really an international toll call and will appear as a charge on your phone bill, with most of the money going to the scammer. Well, the scam is back with a vengeance. The FCC issued a new advisory about it. And they say to report it to the do not call list, but that really doesn't really work. And always check your phone bill for suspicious or unusual charges. The biggest thing is don't be curious, don't be nosy, avoid getting trying to figure out who's calling you and who's trying to get a hold of you, because if it's a robocall or a scam, you don't need to talk to them anyway because you don't know what they're trying to do. They may want you to call them because they make money at that, or they want to get you, they're going to talk you into something because they are smooth talkers. Best thing to do is just avoid it. If you do answer one and it is a person, just say you're not interested and hang up. Don't try to play games with them. Don't try to keep them on like I used to do and have fun with them, because they may have more information on you than you care to know. And if you're giving them a real hard time, sometimes they can pass that on to other robocallers or to other parts of their company and just create all kinds of issues for you. So the best thing to do is just ignore it. I know it's difficult in this time and age. When we were growing up, that we didn't have these issues, but we do now. So just be careful. Speaking of issues and things going on, I did want to mention this to you, and that is there was a security breach, a data breach that exposed 80 million names, addresses, and income in the U.S. And this one was a newly reported breach, seemingly exposed the personal information of some 80 million U.S. households, and no one seems to know where it came from. They've got the list, they know what the list is, but they don't know where it came from. It was unearthed by security researchers who only know that the unencrypted data was hosted by a Microsoft cloud server and appears to be limited to people over the age of 40. In dissecting the data, the researchers found that it seemed to itemize households rather than individuals and included full addresses, including street addresses. Let me move this back up. Cities, counties, states, and zip codes, exact longitude and latitude, full names, including first and last and middle initial, the age and date of birth. So they don't have these things nailed down, folks. Sometimes that information is getting out and they don't even know where it's coming from. So we do what we can do to protect ourselves, but there's a lot of companies out there that have our data and have it in such a way that it's not always protected. So the best thing to do is make sure you're monitoring your bills very carefully every month, and that if anything seems out of the ordinary, that you do a follow-up. Don't let it slide. Another article this week or this month that I came across that I thought was interesting. You know that I've been doing presentations on cutting the cord, and I keep finding articles and update my information on a regular basis. But I thought this would be interesting. Over 14,000 Americans are cutting the cord every day. The numbers are in, and the cord cutting is growing faster than ever. This week, the Informa TV multi-screen index released its final numbers. According to that report, 1.28 million Americans households dropped traditional paid TV in the first 3 months of 2019. That works out to be over 14,000 Americans are canceling cable TV every day. That's amazing. There were losses among the top 10 television services in the U.S., with even DirecTV Now online service losing customers following a previous heavy promotion, and then they upped their fees and cut their stations that they are covering. They still command a significant number of customers, but the rate of attrition has increased. This means that cable and satellite TV are down to 81.9 million, or about 82 million subscribers. Cord cutting has 30 to 35 million members and is growing. At this rate, cord cutting will quickly close the gap with cable TV over the years to come. So if your group has not had my Cut the Cord presentation and you're interested, please get in touch with me. If your group is a member of APCUG, you can do that through the APCUG Speakers Bureau on their website at apcug2.org, or you can email me directly or through my website. Feel free to, and let me know if you're in the Florida area, West Coast, near where I am, and need a live speaker. I'm also willing to do that under certain circumstances. Speaking of local, I just found out something's going on here. I'm getting some noise in my screen, and I shouldn't be getting anything here. Stan, are you getting some music or something playing, or is that just on my system? Are we still connected? Yep, I see CFCS. Okay. Anyway, the Manatee County Library System now offers lynda.com. When I first moved to Manatee County, believe it or not, it's almost 5 years that we've been doing these presentations live and online from Bradenton. I moved from Winter Springs, Florida to Bradenton, Florida, almost 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago. But when I moved here, I was disappointed the library system didn't offer lynda.com online. Both the Seminole County and Orange County libraries began to offer this service just before I moved. I had mentioned that on Facebook. Stan didn't remember that the Seminole County Library offered it, but it does. And lynda.com, which is now part of LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is part of Microsoft, so Microsoft owns lynda.com. But it's operated totally separately. It's an online library of unlimited and on-demand instructional videos covering a wide area. So it's not just computer related. There are a lot of other really good tutorials and classes, video classes that are available to you. And I found that every course that I've taken on lynda.com was done professionally by experts in that field. The lessons were easy to follow, comprehensive, and well-paced. To access lynda.com, all you need is a Manatee library card. Use your card number plus a PIN that you got when you created, or when you received your card. You had to give them your name and address and information about yourself, and you also created a PIN, so you have to use that. Then you have access to all the courses on Lynda, and there's over 200 categories in all kinds of topics. Worth taking a look. If you don't want to do it through the library system to begin with, you haven't signed up or you don't have a library card, go to lynda.com and take a look at the courses they have available. And then there's a couple of links here that'll get you to that as well. It's the same in Seminole County and probably in Orange County as well. All you need is your library card and your PIN number, and you put those in and your name, and you'll be able to get set up a lynda.com account for free, and then view any of those courses. Worth taking a look at. Please do so, and support your library system. They pay a lot of money for this, and if people aren't using it, they'll cut it out. So please make sure that you use the various services that your library provides for you, and check out what else your local library system has. I know the meeting in Castleberry right now, where I'm talking to, you meet in a library. Perhaps somebody from that library might be one of your speakers coming up and talk about some of the things, including lynda.com. Hopefully there's somebody there that uses it and is very familiar with it. So take a look at it.
Huey,
Yes.
I was wrong this morning. We do have Lynda at Seminole County Library System as well as Orange. And I chatted with a chap up there when I was signing in. He seems to think that they have actually several 3D printers, and they allow library holders in the Orange County system to use those. And Seminole doesn't have exactly the same thing. They can get 3D printing done for Seminole residents with a card, but it's not exactly the same. So maybe that's what I was thinking of.
Okay, but it's good to know, and then maybe somebody from the library system can talk about some of these new innovations that they've come up with in the last couple of years. I know several years ago we had a speaker come in from the library system, but that was before all of these things were available.
Yes. And while I have us unmuted, we discovered what that extraneous noise was here. It was separate. It was coming from the projector. When I muted the sound on the projector, we're just listening to you through the computer, the laptop right now. It was a very strange foreign accent. We couldn't make out what it was he was saying. It sounded like some kind of a lecture. So any idea where that might have been coming from?
No, and I'm getting some strange music coming from my Chromebook, and I don't know what that is. I don't know if you can hear it in the background or not.
No.
And my sound is off.
The gremlins are out.
It's some kind of an alarm, and I have no idea what that is.
All right, Ted Goodwin would like to say something.
Okay.
Hi, Huey.
Hey, Ted. Happy birthday, by the way.
Okay, thanks. I just want to tell you that the May issue of Consumer Reports has a 6-page article about cutting the cord for free TV. I just got the magazine. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but it looks kind of interesting.
You're saying that Consumer Reports has a 6-page article on cutting the cord?
Well, they call it free TV.
Okay, free TV. Yeah, which means it probably they're also talking about over the air. Excuse me, let me take a little sip of water here.
They're talking about Vudu, Pluto TV, Xumo, the Roku, Canopy, Sony, Hoopla, Snag Films, Amazon, and Tubi TV.
Okay, they are talking about the free services, not the paid services. Yeah, I use Pluto TV a lot. I really like it, and they've even they're doing some over the air, some of the channels from Pluto. But Pluto is a service that's totally free. It's ad based, so there are a lot of ads. They have a lot of channels with all different topics, including sports, news, entertainment, older TV programs, movies. There's a lot of channels on there, and it's totally free. If you have a Roku or a Fire TV stick or a smart TV, any of the smart TVs can pick up Pluto TV. And there's a couple other, some of the other devices that you can get streaming TV, including your computer. If you've got an Android based, or I think even this TV or this computer here, I think there's an app for Windows for Pluto TV, or you can go to their website and you can be watching some of the channels there as well. I know it works well on my Chromebook. I know it works also on my Android phone. I know it works on iPhones and iPads as well. So you can watch a lot of TV and programs if you have access, if you've got Wi-Fi availability and no TV, or the TV is not, for whatever reason, is not working properly. So yeah, there's a lot of things available, and it's I don't want to spend a lot of time, because I have in the past, and I do a whole presentation on it. I've done it with this group. But by all means, there's every day there's something, and I'm going to. And while we're talking about that, before I go to the next session, I did add. Well, it's going to come up in the next when I'm going to talk about Microsoft Edge, and I'm going to show you an article, and we can discuss it as well there. But there's some things happening this coming week that are going to change that I mentioned last month. So let's go to the next section, unless there are any more questions or comments. Okay. This wasn't on my initial list that I sent out in the newsletter and online and on Facebook and so on, but I got a message saying that the new Microsoft Edge was available for insiders on the dev channel, which is the development channel. And it's going to be, I guess there's going to be weekly updates to it. And so I am not sure where that tone is coming from. Some kind of a... So anyway, hope it's not in the recording. Anyway, so I went ahead and downloaded it like 2-3 days ago. And so I've been playing with it a little bit, and there's some new improvements in it. Before I get into some of the specifics, the whole idea of the new Microsoft Edge is that Microsoft's finally given up on trying to develop their own browser. They've had problems from the beginning. Edge has not been accepted by most of us as a player, an important player in the browser world, and Chrome is still the #1 browser. And somehow Microsoft has made arrangements with Chrome, with Google in other words, to use the Chromium service or engine, the Chromium engine, and use that as part of Edge as opposed to having their own. So it's going to work like and be a lot like Chrome with Microsoft's own look and feel and maybe some extras. So they're starting to test it now. And some of the things that are they've shown in the improvements is spell check is now enabled by default for everyone. You can see there's a whole bunch of things here. There's a bunch of bug fixes and so on. But let's take a look at it. So I'm going to minimize this. And I'm going to, let's see, I got it down here. You'll see when I open it, it looks like Chrome. Well, it looks like a browser. They're all about the same. Right now it's blank. There it is. I've got it opening to a blank. And you'll notice that some of the more recent URLs and websites that I've gone to are in the boxes. And then there's a search box. And you'll notice that I have favorites at the top here, a favorites bar, but they weren't there when I first started, when I first installed. So let's open this. I took a couple of screenshots when I was installing it. And so let's take a look at that. So the new install of the Microsoft Edge Chromium version, these are the screenshots I got when I downloaded this first. What I got was this. I got an email, and this was either part of it, or when I clicked on it was a link to this page. And you'll see that I have the address up here, but you can do a quick search on the Microsoft Edge Insider, and you download the dev channel for Windows 10. When I did, it says getting started with your bookmarks autofill. So it actually downloaded the Edge browser, the new Edge browser, and installed it and allowed it to work with the old Edge browser, as well as IE is on my computer as well. So when I started the install, it said getting started with your bookmarks, autofill data, and history from Google Chrome. And so I had a choice here of starting with my data or starting from scratch. Starting from scratch means don't put any information in, just give us the basic browser. Well, I said, well, you know, I use Chrome a lot because I've got my Chromebook. I've got a lot of bookmarks. I've got a lot of things saved and passwords saved and a lot of information and history and everything. Why don't I go ahead and include that? So what I said is I'll start with my data, and I click on confirm. When I did that, I get then a choice of 3 different settings for the screen, but I can always change it. And so the first one, or actually it was the third one, was focused, and that was the one that you saw up there with the boxes of previous connections that I've had, URLs that I've been to, the search engine, and then of course the URL box. The informational will have some information, I think it's from MSN or MSN.com, and it has different news articles. And inspirational has the focused with some pictures in the background. And I chose the focused. But actually, at the beginning, I chose the informational, and this is what it looked like. Actually, this was the informational, this was the inspirational. So it had a picture in the background, and then it had news down at the bottom, and then it had the boxes in here and a search box. And then I went ahead and changed it. Now, one of the things in a browser for me, a necessity, is having some add-ons or extensions. It depends on what browser you're using, what they call them. But one of the ones that I need to have is my Clipmate, because I use Clipmate all the time when I go to various web pages. I want to clip different pieces of articles or articles that I read and so on, and I want to store them in my not Clipmate, and I'm having a senior moment here. In my note, program, and what I want to do is be able to clip into the note program. So what I wanted was the extension, and this told me how. Number one, you can go to Microsoft and they have their own extensions, but if it's not there, anything that Chrome has in their web store extensions are pretty much will run with Microsoft Edge. So I went ahead, found the one that I wanted, which is Evernote, which is the word I was looking for, searching for. I wanted Evernote, so I did a search for Evernote in the Chrome Web Store within the Edge, the new Edge browser. It found it, and when I said, okay, I want to, I clicked on it and said, okay, checking to see if it was available, and when it did, it said, okay, it's here, the extensions, and it said it can read and change all the data on your website you visit and display notifications. Do I want to add the extension or cancel it? I said add it. When I clicked on it, bingo, it came up. It said Evernote Web Clipper. I had to go ahead and sign in for it. And then once I did, you'll see up here is the notation that Evernote is installed and I can use it. That's the screen captures that I got. So we're still in the program. I don't need this anymore. So we're in Microsoft. Now let me full screen it. And let me make it bigger. And so if I go to any web page, and let's go ahead and go to huey.net. I posted a couple articles in the last couple of days. And one of them is this SpaceX, and let me make this larger. And we're talking about how things are changing and cutting the cord and so on. And I saw this article. This is today's date. I posted this morning. So let's go to this article. Now, what I do is I come up here to my web clipper. I have a whole presentation on using Evernote and on using Evernote and Feedly together. But you'll notice here, and then I can, let's see, I've got some things blocking this, so let me close them. I can make it full page, I can make it a simplified article, and so on. And then when I click it, when I click to save it, it then saves it to my Evernote. It's now out there. It's syncing it, so it's now part of my Evernotes. And it works, and it worked right out of the box with this new Microsoft Edge. Now, something else that this does, and let's go ahead and close this. I got to move something else out of the way here. Let me mute for a second while I cough. Okay, something else that I saw in here that I thought was really neat is I am going to come up here and it says read aloud. So let's try this.
SpaceX launching 60 satellites in first test of Starlink. Huey Poplock, May 12, 2019. SpaceX, Elon Musk, recently received approval from the FCC to launch 4,425 satellites into space to build a low Earth orbit network to sell home internet. There will be an important test this Wednesday. According to a Musk tweet, much will likely go wrong on this first mission. Also, 6 more launches of 60 sats are needed for minor coverage, 12 for moderate. There will be more details on the day of launch, currently tracking to Wednesday. They are production design because they are not like the Tintin ones, but these are still not part of the final design, so they're mostly test satellites. They lack a few things that will be present in the final design. There's a reason why SpaceX calls this mission Starlink V0.9. Despite using the same exact Falcon fairing that has been standard for years, SpaceX has managed to cram 60 spacecraft, each weighing around 200 to 300 kilograms, 440 to 660 pounds, into just the bottom two-thirds of the fairing, leaving a considerable amount of unused volume for future expansion. According to President and CEO Gwynne Shotwell, Starlink V0.9 satellites are extremely close to SpaceX's true final design. However, they are still considered by SpaceX to be a test batch of satellites and do not have the optical, laser, interlinks that will be a critical part of Starlink's unique constellation design. The mission is currently scheduled to launch at 10:30 p.m. EDT, 2:30 UTC, May 15th, and will have a flexible 4-hour window. The mission will be preceded by a routine Falcon 9 static fire no earlier than, net, May 13th.
Okay, that's amazing. The sound, as you could tell, is quite clear and quite realistic. By the way, this is what it looks like inside the rocket. And this is what the satellites are going to look like around the world eventually. They're first putting up 4,000 and then another 7,000. There's going to be 11, 12,000 up there eventually in the next couple of years. But remember, when I talked about this last month, some of you were thinking, boy, this is in the future and I'm probably never going to see it. And here it is. They're launching 60 satellites Wednesday to test this. It's still probably a year before it'll be working. We don't know where it will be working first, how much it's going to cost, and so on. But anyway, I'm demonstrating the new Edge and the fact that it can read aloud like that just by clicking a button. You can change the speed if you want it to talk slower, faster. Let's kind of take a look at that again, and let me show you what the settings were on that. We're going to tell it to read aloud, but we're not listening.
SpaceX launching 60 satellites in first test of Starlink. Huey Poplock, May 12th, 2019.
See, I can make it slower, faster. It's on normal
SpaceX. Elon Musk recently received approval from the FCC to launch 4,425.
Faster, I can make it slow.
4,425 satellites into space to
or go back to normal.
Build a low Earth orbit network to sell home internet.
So you can play with it too. But the thing is that you can go to a web page, and if you're driving down the road and you want it to read an article, a big article from the web, you can have it read it. And that is so you don't even have to be looking at it and see what's going on. So that's part of the new web browser from Microsoft. And as it becomes more and more available and then becomes a new one, what I did see an article this week too is they are going to have a button or some kind of a link in this new Microsoft Edge that's going to allow you to run a simulator of Internet Explorer, because you know some websites you go to still require you to have Internet Explorer in order for it to work properly. And so there's going to be a way to visit those using the new Edge as well. Okay, let's go ahead and close that and come back to where we were.
Huey, couple
yes.
That's fascinating with that launch of the satellite thing.
Yeah, there's actually two articles in that last article that I talked about. One is the SpaceX thing, and the other one is the new Microsoft Edge. But yes, it is fascinating. And if you remember, we talked about it a little bit. I brought it up and showed a couple of slides on it last month.
Absolutely. You happen to know where it's being launched from?
Yes, Cape Canaveral.
It is from Canaveral, my God.
Yes. And if you go online, it will tell you and give you the times. I know Mike Gungerman had something on Facebook today, an article where it was and so on. And I think it's not going to be on the NASA site. It will be, you might want to go to the SpaceX site because it's not a NASA thing. It is a SpaceX thing.
Okay. All right. Secondly, that reading of the article, is that something that's only in this browser, or is it also available in Chromium?
I don't believe it's available in Chromium. It's an Edge thing.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's a reason perhaps to explore Edge. But other than that, is everything that you're seeing, that they're playing catch up and it'll do the same? I mean, are you recommending that people get and try Edge, or were you just doing it because you were curious?
I was curious. It's still very early development. So unless you're a person who likes to play with these things, you can run it simultaneously. So it's not taking the place of the old other Edge or any of the other browsers. But it is early beta and is prone to problems and things aren't finished and so on. It won't be available to the general public for several months yet, but it'll be sometime probably before the next release of Windows, not the one that's coming up this month, but the one that'll be coming up in the fall. And I'm looking to see, I've got some chat items here. Let's see if there's any questions or comments here. Where'd my chat box go? Oh, come on. There it is. Okay.
Wednesday at 10:30, Mike Ungerman is saying.
Okay. Can anyone do the development site? I believe so. I think you just have to register as an Edge Insider, and then I think it's free. It doesn't cost anything. I don't think there's a problem.
Cool.
Let's see. Okay. No, I don't see if there's anything else here. Yeah, Wednesday at 10:30 p.m. So it's going to be at night. So those of you in Orlando might be might be able to look up if it's a clear night and be able to see at least the light from it going up. Another article that I thought was interesting. I do want to check on one thing while we're yakking here. Okay, Russ, you're on there. Good. That's what I wanted to check. This article I thought was interesting. I'm still using hard drives. I do have a SSD card in my main machine, and I believe, and there's one in my Surface as well, as well as my Chromebook. I believe it's RAM. It's not SSD. But as the SSD prices go down, so does the rate of HDD or hard disk drive shipments go down. Let me make this bigger if I can. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. It just, I thought it was interesting. We're starting to see a shift in the technology again, where most of us old timers, I made that a little too big, I think. Most of us old timers have been around a lot of years. We've seen hard drives go from, I remember my first hard drive was 20 megabytes. And I said, I'll never have to buy another floppy disk and never have to have any storage other than this 20 megabyte drive for the rest of my life. And now we're talking terabytes and even bigger than that. And we're seeing the flash drives replacing hard drives. And you're going to say they're not mechanical. They will last quicker and not last quicker. You're not going to have the same kind of failures that you do with a mechanical hard drive. According to the report, HDD or hard disk drive shipments continue to slide. And most of the new computers are coming with an SSD card and maybe a hard drive as well. But the price with the SSDs coming down and down, SSDs are faster, and the fact now that they can hold a lot of information makes them much more appealing to getting the size down of the interior, so there's more room for battery or more room for other things, and gaming is going to be a lot quicker. And as we are starting to get closer and closer to using very fast internet, one of the speed bumps is going to be your hard drive. And if you're using SSD, that's going to eliminate that as well. So I think what we're going to see is is sooner or later the hard drives are going to go the same route as tape backup and zip drives and floppy disks and so on, and really CDs and DVDs in the computer days. Most of the new machines now don't even have drives to play them, and that's usually the first problem or the first indicator that the technology is going away, when you can't use the media. I think we're going to see hard drives kind of go away, or at least inside of the computers. We'll have hard drives for large backups and that sort of thing. Email settings lookup. Now, I don't remember what I wrote on this, but let's take a look and see what we've got here. Oh, when you're setting up your email in any kind of a program, a third-party program, and a lot of times knowing what to set up for your information is difficult. And this website I thought was very good, and it's emailsettings.email. And what you do is you just put whatever your email address is, and let's just take one of mine. Let's take my Huey at huey.net, and then say find, and it tells me, okay, here's the server host name, here's the ports that I need as an IMAP or as POP3, and authentication as password. In other words, what setups I need, and then the outgoing server, what port I need, and what I need. Do I need SSL or TLS? So you can do that with any email address, and it'll give you the information you need to set up your third-party email program, whether it be on your iPad, your phone. Sometimes they ask for that information and you don't know where to get it. You can do this for each of your email addresses. So I thought it was a good website to have in your arsenal. And again, the website is emailsettings.email. And that is, there's a link to it right here, and that'll take you to it. Now, one of the things that I do on a regular basis is try to find more information of what's going on in the computer world to be able to make this list that you see on your screen and present to you every month. And I do it through a lot of different ways. Feedly goes out and checks various websites for a list of all of the articles that are out there. And I found by perusing some of the other user groups in the country and other members of APCUG, that I found this website to be very interesting. And that is the Chicago Computer Society in Chicago. On their main page at ccs.org, they have the weekly news tips and milestones reached. So if I click on that, they have news tips for every week. And let's take 5/5 through 5/11. So through last week. And they have all kinds of articles and links, similar to what I do, but it's a long list, as you can tell. And every day there's all kinds of articles. So it's a good way to, if you want to keep up on these things, it's another source which you can find to see what's going on. Here's TV for free. Pluto TV offers a wallet-friendly pitch in the Netflix era. And this is from NBC News and not from, as Ted mentioned, from the Consumer Reports, I believe it is. So you can go to NBC News. Let's just quickly go there. Hopefully there's no videos playing. Okay, and so here is the article. And so there's all kinds of information about Pluto TV and so on. So I thought that was a good source of information, and maybe and I know Marshall at Stug does something similar. He every week adds almost every day adds various articles on his website. So if you have someone who's active and able to keep up your website, and that's a problem with a lot of groups, that they have a website but no one to really keep it up. But if you have someone, you might want to be putting links and articles and items of interest to make your members and other people come to your website on a regular basis, and they can look up this information, see what's going on, and then look around at the other information. So let's go back to the homepage of the Chicago Computer Society. Okay. Let's go to the About Us. There's an About Us. Become a member homepage. There we go. And they're over 30 years old. They're similar to the Central Florida Computer Society and the fact that they've been around a long time. They have newsletters and calendars and so on. So you can take a look at their website and see what other user groups are doing. I know we've got members of user groups from around the country online. And here's another source of finding some information, getting some ideas from other groups, and see what they're doing as well. And the final article that I have listed here, and this can go as long as we want. This is there's a lot of information here on this article. But it's Windows 10 Settings Guide on how to do anything and everything. This is an article from last couple of weeks, April 26th. I thought it was a good article. How to access settings in Control Panel. And getting the grips with Windows means accessing the settings. In the desktop mode, click Start, and you'll see settings in the lower left-hand corner of the menu. That'd be down here. And you come down here and go to Settings, and that would be here. But let's just keep looking at the article instead of doing it. And if you prefer, you can use the Windows shortcut, use the Windows key and I, and that'll open up the settings. So if you want to manage your Windows 10 system, there's all kinds of things that you can do. Let's take a look at these are ads here. So manage your Windows 10 system. Under the home, you've got your display, you got sound, you've got notifications, and all of the settings for these. So you can change the brightness of your display. Now, if I did it here, you wouldn't see it. I would see it on my screen. It's going to only adjust my screen. Your battery, storage, and so on. When you set up Windows 10, remember to configure regional and language settings. Manage devices and phones. Let me show you something that you may not realize that you can do with the latest version of Windows 10. I believe it was the version that came out in the fall, the 1809. And of course, when the 1903 version is released later this month, it will continue to do this. But I don't know if you noticed down here, I have an icon and a program called Your Phone. When I click on it, it opens up an app called Your Phone on Windows. I have it connected to my Samsung phone. It's going out to my phone, and it found the pictures that are on my phone. And I needed a serial number from the back of something. And so I just moved my phone back there and took a picture of it. So I didn't have to get down on the floor and roll around and try to figure it out. I had the picture, and then I just made it bigger. I copied down that number, and I had it. So I used my phone instead of me bending and turning around in the back of this piece of equipment. Then we had a bird in the yard. It was all blue, and it wasn't a blue jay. And this is through a screen, so it's not a really good picture. But you'll notice that I've been taking various pictures of things, but that's on my phone. But also messages. I can click this and Stan, and I did some messaging today through our phones, and because my phone is here and we're on the same in the same network, I'm able to see my messages, and actually I can send a message to Stan, and I'm going to say, well, I don't want to, it'll probably put your phone number up there, Stan, and I really don't want to have that on the recording. But anyway, I could send a message from my desktop computer using my phone messages, which I wasn't able to do before. So I had to get my phone and go through all of that, and I don't have to worry about that now. I can do it directly from my desktop. And I'm using a lot of two-factor authentication, and they're sending me a text. And now I can, without having to get up and get my phone in the other room or unplug it and bring it over here to where my desktop is, I can just look at this and see what that code is and type it in directly from my desktop. So I really like having that phone as, and I set that up. And I also, the camera is set up through the devices. There's all kinds of things that you can set up. Windows 10 is about you. You can set your own themes. You can change the way your computer looks, all through your through the settings, apps and gaming. Let's take a look at apps, for instance. Sometimes you don't know you can do this, so let's go to settings. And let's go to apps. Now it says installing apps, but what I want to show you is all of my apps are right here. And it shows how big they are. It shows me when they were installed. And if any of them are there that, oh, gee, I don't know what something is, I can click on it. And let's see, I want to be careful what I click on because I don't want to uninstall something by mistake. Okay, let's just click this. I can uninstall it. I can modify it, and so on. I can do it right from here. So it's a lot easier than it used to be in the past to go ahead and install and uninstall programs. You do it right from the apps in your settings, and they're all right there. Then apps and features. That's what we're in. Default apps. This is where you change your defaults. So my email is Outlook. My default for Maps is Maps. My music player is VLC Media Player. My video editor is Irfan View or Viewer. My video player is, I don't have one as a default. My web browser is Google Chrome. Now if I want to change that, I can change it to Edge. I can change it to the Edge Dev. So I can change it to any of the browsers I have installed on my computer as my default. So whenever I click on a link, it's going to open up in that browser. Offline maps, apps for websites, video players. So there's a lot of things in settings you might just want to kind of take a look at and see what these different settings are. Okay, updates in security and privacy. I've got to be careful here. I really don't want it to start searching to see if I have any updates. So I'm not going to go to that because sometimes it does that. And so I don't want to do that while we're in the process of doing the presentation. And then we have another presentation right after this as well. You can control everything with Windows 10. And so this I thought was a very good article. I'm about 10 minutes early, but at this point, I will open up to any questions. Let's see if there's anything in the chat box. There is not. Stan, any questions from the floor? Any comments? I'll have to wake you up, I guess. And I closed out my picture. Okay, I'm going to open my screen here and go here and open this. There we go. Stan, any questions? Are we still there? Yep. Stan, I'm going to unmute your.
All right. Can you,
I just muted you, I think. I just unmuted you. Go ahead.
can you hear
Can you
Bob
hear
Black?
me?
Try again.
All right, can you hear me?
Barely, but let's see if we can. And I'll try to repeat what if I
Well,
can't. Stan will have to.
I'll repeat it.
when you use Chromium, the Edge Chromium version, does it, when you search it, does it use Bing or Google?
If you're using the Edge development and you search, does it use by default Bing or Google?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and I'll show you that. And I happened to think of that when I was talking about showing you using the Windows settings. But let's go ahead and look at this is the Chrome Edge browser. And let's look at the settings. What do they call it? They call it something different. Yeah, no, they call it settings. And you'll see most of these settings look like, let's see, search appearance on startup. System. There is a place where you can set that, site permissions. And, well, if all else fails, SEAR search. Searches, address bar. What do I want to ask for? Search.
Engine, search
Yeah,
engine.
let's try engine and see what we get. Yeah, it just leaves the same, but there is a way of doing it. Search engine, address bar. Okay, there we go. Click here. Okay, search engine used in the address bar. Bing is recommended, is by default. But I can change it to Yahoo, Google, DuckDuckGo, Facebook, or Amazon. So you can change the default directly in the program. So after that, and then manage the search engines, and you can add others, I guess, as well. You can add, yes. So you can add others if you have another favorite that you'd rather use. That answer your question?
Yes,
Yes,
I got a question.
Ted's got one.
Dewey, how do you set a favorite or contact in Chrome?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, how do you set a favorites and contact in Chrome? I'm not sure what you mean.
A link in the browser?
Yeah, in your contact list.
Chrome doesn't have a contact list. Are you talking about Gmail? Chrome is a browser.
Well, in an email program sometimes.
Okay, in an email program, that would be up to the email program. Each one's going to be different.
Okay,
And
in Chrome.
I don't have anything set up. Chrome is not email. Gmail would be the Google email program.
Okay, how do you do it now?
I don't think we have enough time to get into that because I'm not sure, and I'm going to have to go looking around. So we'll have to take a look to see if there's a way of doing that because I'm not sure what your question is to begin with. And I don't want to open up my Gmail account right now. But if you're asking for the default, the account that you use? What are you trying to find?
I want to add a contact point,
Point. Like a site?
a site, a URL.
You want to add a site? I'm not sure where you're talking about.
As a favorite?
As a favorite.
Go to the site and click on favorites.
I can't find that button.
It's this star right here. If you move your mouse over it, it says bookmark this page. When you do that, let's go to, well, let's go back to the CSS one here, css.org, just to have something a little bit different. Okay, this I can show fairly quickly in the time allotted. I thought it was css.org.
That's Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
CCS.
Oh, it's CCS. Well, I was close.
Yeah.
The Colorado Springs School looks like an interesting place too. Okay, so we want to make this a favorite. So I come up here to bookmark this page, and when I click on that, okay, it wants the name of the page, so there it is. And I can change, that's the name, not the actual website. So I can give it a name. I can call it Chicago Computer Society. I believe that's correct. Let me move this. No, I guess I can't move it. Chicago. Now, where do I want to put it? I have a folder called the bookmarks bar. That's the one that's along the top when I go to, if I open up a new one here, I have all of these links, puts it on that bar. Well, that bar is gotten kind of long, as you can see down the side, and it will just put it at the bottom of that. So let's go back here. And again, we're putting it here. And so I've got, that's the toolbar, the bookmarks bar, the bookmarks toolbar. I can choose another folder. I can have it in other bookmarks. So there's a lot of places I can put it. Let's go ahead and put it in other bookmarks and say done. And now if I go to my bookmarks here and go to other bookmarks, let's see, go to other bookmarks, which is here, and there it is down here at the bottom. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's there. So that's how you do it.
Okay.
And you can put it wherever you want. I like to have, I have certain, now let's go back here. I've got, let's see, I'm going to minimize this, not minimize it, but make it smaller. The reason I'm doing this is I have a toolbar for Zoom that's sitting right on top of where I want to work with. But I have all of these right here. Now, these sync with the one thing I like about Chrome, and I think Edge is going to do it, and it did it with Edge as well, the Edge development, is it placed all of the same ones in the same place in my Edge. Now, I don't know if it changes it, but let's say I want Hootsuite, and I want these in different, so I just take this and I just slide it here, put it there, and I've changed the position of it. Because sometimes if I move this and make it smaller, some of the ones kind of fall off. They don't really fall off. They just go into the list. And I may want certain ones to show up at certain times. So you can move these around, then move them back as well. So if I want Hootsuite back to be over here, I can just do that and it'll be there. So you can rearrange these, and then same thing in other bookmarks. I don't think you can just do it from here, can you? Yeah, you can just, I'm clicking and dragging, and I can put this in any order I want and drop it. And so now it's in a different place. So you can rearrange them and have them in your own order. You can create different folders of bookmarks and then go to that group, so you can group them and have them organized as well. Good question, Ted. Thank you. Once we figured out what you were looking for.
Others? Any other questions? Okay, we're going to take a 5 or 10
Yeah,
minute.
yeah. Hang on a second here. Let me go ahead and say thank you very much. This has been the Central Florida Computer Society Special Interest Group, the WinSig, for May 12th, 2019. Thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you next month for the WinSig. But stay tuned, because we do have another session for those of you who are online and who are in the audience. So hang on.